Update 2. My cousin slept with my wife and made me raise his child for 15 years. I caved. I sent a small email to my ex-daughter Luna that simply said, "What do you want?" I didn't expect the multi-paragraph response. She started the email profusely apologizing for how she acted. She said when she found out I wasn't her father, she was angry. She confronted her mother and she cried, making her promise not to tell me. Since she felt lost, she began to talk to my cousin, her real father, more and more. He told her of my violent past, the things I used to do, being a gangbanger, things that I kept a secret from her. This made her angry, and the more they spent time together, the more she pulled away from me. She said she felt bad from time to time, but my cousin would reinforce her feelings towards me. The day of the quince, she said while we were dancing, she realized how stupid she was acting. She realized how much I loved her, and then her messages appeared on screen. In the days that followed, she was told by my wife's side of the family to give me space. To not call me, and she listened. She said she was watching her family fall apart because of her and she couldn't do anything to fix it. She told me she understood why I did what I did. Yet she wanted to reach out. During the divorce, her mother fell in a dark place. Not talking to her, barely eating, she was just existing. When she found out that my name was removed from her birth certificate, she said she had a panic attack. Her mother told her that they will have to move back to Brooklyn, and when she asked about her life in school, her mother told her that was the life your father gave you, and he's not your father anymore. So she called me, begging, and I cursed her out, then hung up. She cried for days. She tried to reach out to my cousin, who pretty much ignored her. She even went to the church and he told her to leave. Called her a mistake. Her mother refused to talk to her, basically locked herself in a room, only leaving to use the bathroom or take a shower. She begged her grandfather to take her to see me, and when they came to Long Island, she learned that I moved. Her grandfather told her that he will talk to my grandmother and find out where I went. For the next 2 years, according to her, it was hell. The entire neighborhood knew what happened to her and her mother. Her father avoided her at all cost and tried not to pay child support. It took her grandfather to threaten him to start paying. In the meantime, her mother didn't talk to her. She was just locked in her room. The few times they did speak, she called her an ungrateful girl, and she was the reason why she lost the love of her life. Her grandfather had to put her mother in her place by telling her that her infidelity was the reason why she lost the love of her life, and she locked herself back into the room. So Luna barely stayed home, and that was how she met the father of her child. He worked in the corner bodega, they were the same age, and after a few months of talking, one thing led to another and she ended up pregnant. Her grandfather was furious, but when her boyfriend insisted that he would marry her, that cooled things down. Luna said her pregnancy was a blessing in disguise. Her mother began talking to her again and even began leaving the room to be by her side for every checkup. Being a senior in high school while pregnant was cliché, but she made it work. A month before the baby was born, she graduated, and her boyfriend joined the Marines. He wanted to elope before leaving, but she wants a wedding. Her boyfriend had no issues naming his son after me. Apparently, his father was absent, and the fact he was a junior was a reminder that he shared the name of a man who didn't want him. When she heard I was in town, she got a speeding ticket trying to get to my grandmother's apartment. She wanted to see me, wanted to apologize, and wanted me to see her son. She just wanted to see me. However, she was late and she cried. When her mother gave her my number, she wanted to call me immediately, but the entire neighborhood was talking about how I hurt her father, so she waited. Her mother was sad to see that I moved on and have a son. Luna was happy to know she had a little brother, but her mother became a little more depressed. I felt sorry for Mary Soul. After I read the email, I called Mary Soul and asked her if this was true. That she refused to talk to Luna for years and blamed her for our divorce. She confirmed it, and at first I yelled at her, but I regained my composure when I heard her crying. I told her to move on. Find someone else, but she said no. She told me that I was her husband and I will always be her husband. It broke my heart a little. I then had my grandmother go see my cousin so I could talk to him. The second he heard my voice, he began to cry and beg me to forgive him. I just asked him why he didn't become a father to Luna? Why he poisoned her against me, and he said it was envy. He was in love with Mary Soul and I took her from him. When I was arrested, he consoled her, manipulated her, and barely lasted a second with her, and she realized what she was doing and shoved him off of her, but he already nut. When she found out she was pregnant, he knew the baby was his. They both knew. It was supposed to be a secret. Mary Soul took her terrible pregnancy as God's punishment for her infidelity and deceit. When Luna turned 13, he was intoxicated. Seeing my life, and envy was the one sin he couldn't shake. So he wanted to ruin it. And he did. I told him when we see each other again in hell, I will be his eternal tormentor, and hung up on him. Jocelyn was there for me, she told me that everything will be okay. Luna and I commented through email. I spoke to her on the 4th, she spent over an hour crying while talking to me. I even spoke to her boyfriend, who asked me permission to marry her. I thought it was funny, but honorable. My wedding is next month and Jocelyn wants me to invite Luna. At the same time, Luna wants me to give her away for her wedding in November. My future father-in-law sat me down and told me that he couldn't grasp my situation, but respect the road I took. Because the road saved his little girl, gave him a handsome grandson, and a future son-in-law that he would unalive for. That made me laugh. But he told me that I need to let go of the anger and start forgiving, but never forget. He's right. So we gave Luna an invite to my wedding, even offered to pay for the plane ticket. Her boyfriend, or should I say fiancé, said that he will work it off at my garage when they arrive. I kinda like him. As for me giving her away, I don't know yet, let's see how the wedding happens first.